Welcome to Homegrown, the Soccer Yanks home for domestic soccer. This is Jay. We're sitting red on Twitter. This is a little bit of a different episode. We're not going to do our typical hour-long show with the quarry and the 3 questions at the end. Instead, we're going to put out something just for the playoffs as a preview because it's difficult sometimes to listen to one person's voice for an entire hour. We are going to break up the East and the West into 2 different shows. So we're going to start with the West, and as I said before, we're not going to deal with topics. So our next episode, we're going to probably deal with the Chivas issue and the realignment. And as more information comes out, we can give you better opinions and more thoughtful takes. But right now, it's just the games. It's just a focus. And we're going to go right in right now and deal with the play-in game between FC Dallas and Vancouver. And the biggest thing when you look at this game is that they have 7 members of the 24 under 24 between those 2 teams. Dallas has 3 members. They have most notably Fabi Castilla, Mario Diaz, and for Vancouver, their most notable ones would be Kunamante and Matias Laba. Now, being young also means being experienced, but being athletic is being fast. And I kind of wish this game was played in Vancouver, just because of the surface. You typically don't hope the games are played on turf. We all have a little bit of issues with turf sometimes. But I kind of wish this game was on turf to kind of see the speed of both teams really exploit this play. But again, this is a showcase for the true young talent on the field. And if everyone's healthy, because health is an issue, especially for Mario Diaz, then it could be a great matchup. And possibly another matchup is what I believe should be 2 finalists for MLS trophies. Matt Hedges, who should be a finalist for Defender of the Year, and Pedro Morales, who I have been lauding the entire season. I think he's a wonderful, creative player. I think he can score goals. I think he's excellent for a team that really doesn't have a forward who established himself this year. Despite how much we like Kunamante, he hasn't really established himself as a consistent scorer, a consistent forward threat. But I think Pedro Morales is a clear best newcomer of the year, finalist if not absolute winner. Going into this playoffs, Vancouver in the last 5 games is 4-0-1, with wins over FC Dallas, Real Salt Lake, and at Seattle. For Dallas, they are not as consistent over the last 9. They have 4 wins and 5 losses. And prior to that stretch of the last 9 games, they had a 10-game stretch of 7-0-3. So they have the quality of winning games consistently. But of course, injuries, just having youth on that team, that does eventually wear down you and grind you. And sometimes you don't get the most consistency, which is why I look at this matchup. And the biggest thing for this is Vancouver, while not experienced and not having the most experienced coach in Colin Robertson, they've kind of been in that pseudo playoff situation where you know that if they need to, they can come out and perform at their best. We don't know that with Oscar Pareja. Oscar Pareja is my coach of the year for the regular season. Oscar Pareja had 3 seasons. This is his 2nd playoffs. In his first playoffs, he wasn't able to beat a slumping Seattle team. I want to give the edge to FC Dallas. I think they have the better talent. I think they have the better top-level talent. I think they have the better coach. But to me, there is no proof that Dallas can win that important key game like they were supposed to do this weekend, so they can soar up a spot for the 3rd place. And they lost to the Timbers. So for me, even with it healthy, Mario Diaz, I want to go with Vancouver. I think they're the better team. I think they're the better tested team in a 1-game situation, as they've done for the past month. The only thing that gives me pause is that this team from Dallas looks differently when Mario Diaz is on the field. But I don't think he's going to be 100% fit. He hasn't been 100% fit since about a third into the season. I have hesitance on that, and I'm going to Vancouver in that first game. I'm not going to go into the 1 versus the playing game, because you just don't know who that is. And I'm going to do this for both East and West. So we're just going to go right into the LA Galaxy versus Real Salt Lake, which is the matchup we saw last year. And this game has so many layers when it comes to particularly talent. Obviously, there's established old stars on both sides. Real Salt Lake has Ramondo, Beckerman, Sabarillo, Morales. Obviously, Galaxy has Landon, Gonzalez, De La Garza, Keane. These are established stars. I would even say De La Garza, when he plays next to Gonzalez, is a star because that is a championship center back pairing. We have solid contributors all over the field. Real Salt Lake, we have Mulholland, who has been a revelation this year. We have Nick Grapavoy. We have Schürrle. We have Beltre. Obviously for Galaxy, we have Gergen, Pineda, Ishishaki, Rogers, and then both teams have growing and developing stars, Zardif, Plata, Gill. So talent-wise, this is probably even back and forth talent-wise. Obviously, I think the top-end talent for LA is better. However, I don't think any team has a clear weakness on the field. So, for me, this is a matchup for the coaches and who can make the adjustments. And when you say that, obviously, you're going to go with Bruce Arena. And the only thing I have concerns about the Galaxy is, now that the regular season's over, and they're dealt with the Landon situation, and they even dealt with AJ De La Garza's son, Luca, passing away, which is an emotional high point. Can this team, going forward in not just this series but the next one, can they deal with the emotion, ratcheting themselves up for the emotional high? If they go on the road and get a grinding result, 1-1, 2-2, are they going to be up to go to LA? And maybe this isn't something that you would think about in the first series, maybe something you think about in the second round if LA gets there. But to me, that might be an issue because it's been such an emotional season for Los Angeles. On the field-wise, LA is very versatile. They're very adaptable. They can counter, they can possess, they can do lots of different things. As does Real Salt Lake. Real Salt Lake focuses a little bit more on the center pieces with Morales kind of working his magic. But the one thing that Real Salt Lake does is they defend every single spot on the field very well. Mulholland came to Real Salt Lake for his defensive prowess. Nick Grapavoy stays on the field because he can defend. It'd be interesting to see when they go on the road if you're going to start Grapavoy over Gill. If you are going to look for, or just actually Mulholland over Gill. And that will kind of signal what they're thinking at Real Salt Lake. I think both teams have a lot of interesting bench players and a lot of adjustments to make, not only in the game with substitutions, but pre-game and how they're going to attack. Obviously, I think that the Galaxy has been at a different level this year, and I'm going to give the edge to the Galaxy. And I think this is a match that the role goals would really take into account, because this year the away goals count more than the home goals. So I think a 2-2 draw in Real Salt Lake basically locks the Galaxy in for the next round of the playoffs. Alright, this was the Western Conference preview. In the next podcast, we'll look at the Eastern Conference with the playing game in a 2-3 matchup. Again, no broad topics this time. I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks we can knock out one of our big shows, maybe get an interview, obviously do the query. But right now, we're just going to keep it tight, we're going to keep it simple for you, and we're just going to do previews. Thank you so much for listening. This was Homegrown with Jay, also known as Rescinded Red.